just like everyone else.
Me too.
Great travel experiences together.
I think we got a shot at Olympic gold.
Do you get to go snowboarding much? That's it.
That now, but she's probably gonna be a pro.
This trip has made me want to travel the world.
Joe Franklin, an average guy who gets mistaken as a millionaire on a luxurious trip to Canada, falls in love with Courtney, his concierge. Will she return the same feelings once she learns the truth? In the opening scene, we see Courtney working with a client for his and his wife's anniversary. The gentleman isn't satisfied with shutting the restaurant at the Eiffel Tower at sunset. Instead, he wants something more extravagant for his wife. Despite the client having a crazy idea for the anniversary that involves penguins, Courtney assures him that at Belle Vie, they can make anything happen. Right as she finishes the meeting with her client, her boss comes around asking her to come to her office. She lets her know that she'll be going to Banff, Canada on a ski trip for a client named Joe Franklin. Courtney has to leave on short notice because their colleague Rachel had quit and she was the only one left to fill in. Opening Joe's file, Courtney is surprised to see that there's not a lot of information about Joe. She finds out that he's 33 years old and that he owns the company Cyber Gophers. Loving a good challenge, she lets her boss know that she'll handle all the work with no problem. Rushing to her parents' house after work, she gives them a present for their 35th anniversary. As they're having dinner and enjoying conversing with one another, Courtney asks her parents what the secret is to a long marriage. Her mother says that it's most important to have common goals, and her father agrees, as he thinks that partners should truly enjoy spending time together. He hints at his son and daughter-in-law, so their little girl can't help but ask where Courtney's partner is. Courtney finds her question rather funny, so she lets her know that she hasn't found the one yet. Little does she know that her love life is completely going to change. Asked about work, she lets them know that she'll be going to Canada the following day. While it sounds luxurious, she assures them that it's not, since she's going to be on call 24/7 in case the client needs service. They're excited about her since she got the job to travel the world, but she lets them know that she's mostly in her office all day. The next morning, Courtney tries to make the best impression as she sees a man step out of a car, assuring him that she'll be by his side to provide whatever he needs, but she quickly realizes that he's the pilot. Right after he comes Joe, an average-looking guy completely clueless about the service. Inside the private jet, he seems to be amazed by the moving seats as he plays around with them. The stewardess brings them glasses of champagne, but Joe asks for root beer. Surprised, the stewardess lets him know that they don't have it, but Courtney remembers that they sell it in the vending machine. On their way to Canada, Courtney tries finishing some work, but the computer crashes. Already an expert in programming, Joe takes her computer and fixes it with ease, assuring her that he can fix it if it happens again. On their car ride to the hotel, they pass the Bluff Springs Hotel, which seems to be closed for renovation. But Joe can't help but be impressed by the look of it. They finally make it to the hotel and they're provided with excellent service that Joe isn't used to. Upon entering, they serve him hot cocoa, but he refuses it, saying that it's not his. After finding out that it is complimentary from the hotel, he finally takes a sip. Joe is shocked by the way the suite looks. Looking around, he is amazed by the beautiful mountain view from it. Courtney lets him know that there is a private chef and a mixologist available 24/7, which is great. But once she lets him know that there will be seafood for breakfast, he can't help but feel grossed out. Trying not to be rude, he calls the breakfast perfect despite it being the things that he doesn't eat. She continues to let him know about what the luxurious hotel has and what he can enjoy, but Joe seems to only be interested in the robe that lies on his bed. Trying it on, he admits to feeling like he's in the clouds, so Gabrielle chimes in to let him know that they're made of 100% cashmere. Joe jumps on the bed, letting the comfortable sheets and his robe comfort him when Courtney lets him know that she has put his name on the VIP list in the nightclubs in case he wants to party. He isn't the party type, but he gets excited once she lets him know that they will be going snowboarding the following day. Following him to the living room, Courtney asks whether she can do something else for him, but he seems to be satisfied. As Joe gets to know Gabe better, Courtney takes the chance to let Gabe know that Joe is the owner of Cyber Gophers, but that only makes Joe even more confused. After they leave the suite, Joe calls Alan to let him know that they have confused him with another Joe who is a millionaire. Alan assures him that he'll fix the situation, but Joe suggests he pretends like he's that guy since it looks like he's living a good life. To make matters worse, people treating him nicely just because they think he's someone else reminds Joe about his girlfriend leaving him. Being the best friend that he is, Alan reminds him that he'll find the one who will love him no matter what. The next morning, we can see Joe ready to go snowboarding, but he is disappointed once he sees Courtney not wearing a ski suit. He encourages her to come with him despite it being uncommon for concierges to hang out with their clients. However, she lets him know that she didn't bring any gear. Asking Gabrielle to bring a full gear for skiing, Joe solves the problem with ease. After choosing the right snowsuit, Joe and Courtney are ready to go skiing, and while Joe's looking for the ski lift, he is surprised to see that they'll be going with the helicopter. As they fly above the snowy mountains, Joe lets her know about the sports events and accomplishments that have taken place in the mountains. As they get onto the ski slope, Courtney puts on her goggles and challenges him to a match, and he agrees, suggesting that whoever loses has to buy lunch. Courtney slides down the hill with ease, Joe following behind, and after a long but fine ride down, Courtney is 2-1 to win. Feeling exhausted and defeated, Joe suggests they go eat before he collapses. Sitting in the cold winter breeze, they are presented with a charcuterie board along with some expensive wine. As they dig in, Joe asks how she started in the business, and she reveals after working in an agency she had grown tired of the office job, so she turned to a concierge business. They're served wine from 1998, and Joe can't help but reminisce about the good times he had in that year, like kissing Jessica Clark and winning the science fair. Further into the conversation, he asks about the strangest request she's ever received, and she reveals that a client didn't like the color of her room, so the whole hotel had to be repainted. Joe is shocked at how people just spent their money like it's hotcakes, but Courtney claims not to judge since it's their money. She assumes that he's passionate about his job, but he revealed that he wants to dive into the app business and make an app of his own. As they're talking, Gabrielle serves them squab, which only makes Joe even more grossed out. Changing the topic, he asks about her skiing abilities but is shocked to find out that she went to college in Boulder, a place where Joe had grown up. Calling her a liar, he expects a silly answer, but instead, her answer makes him think about him pretending to be someone else. Returning to the hotel, Courtney tries to set up the dinner, but Joe asks her not since he's tired. In the morning, as Courtney enters the suite, she is greeted by an odd sight. Seeing Joe eating French toast gets her worried, so she checks her list again only to confirm that she had ordered arugula with pistachio pesto quiche. He tries lying to her about already eating the breakfast, but she catches him in the lie, so she admits to not liking the food she's been writing for him. Knowing that he's sore from snowboarding, Courtney brings Olga in, a Russian lady who is a massage therapist with a rather scary look. Luckily for him, it is the best massage he's ever had, so he says, calling her finger magical. Before she sends Joe off on his next adventure, Courtney gets a call from her boss checking on how everything is going. Her boss complains about it being hectic at work since Rachel left, so Courtney suggests they call her if it gets hectic. Joe talks on the phone as well and reveals that it had been his friend who had helped him, so he wanted to return the favor for her to start fresh. He asks whether she ever wishes to press a button and restart everything, so she reminds him that he's on vacation and that it's possible. Curious, she assumes that he's come alone to ease his mind, and Joe reveals that he had been in a relationship for 2 years when his girlfriend decided to break things off since he wasn't the guy she needed him to be. On a lighter note, Joe suggests they forget about the story and move on with their shopping spree. As they're walking down the snowy streets, Courtney throws different ideas about what activity Joe should do, one including sheep watching, but Joe lets her know that he only wants to chill. Trying to add chilling to the itinerary, she is stopped by Joe reminding her that all he wants is to walk around and see things. While helping her colleague later in the day, Courtney notices something off about her, so she asks whether anything is wrong. Her colleague admits to thinking that their jobs are inconsequential as they don't do anything for the world, and while Courtney admits that it has crossed her mind, she reminds her that it's just their job after all. Being asked about Joe, Courtney can't help but unintentionally gush over how different and great he is when her colleague teases her about it. Instead of continuing with work, she decides to go to the art gallery where she bumps into Joe. He lets her know that he loves visiting galleries as he considers himself an appreciator of art. Asking her whether there's anything she likes, he is surprised to see her choice. A messy but beautiful painting stands in front of them as they analyze the meaning behind it. Joe agrees that it's messy, but once you see the different colors, it represents a sense of calm. As she's agreeing with what he's saying, a lady appears behind them asking whether they'll be in the market for the painting, assuming that they're husband and wife. After having a bizarre moment at the gallery, they decide to go shopping. Walking into the store, Joe asks whether she's shopping for any significant other, and Courtney reveals that she's single because she has no time for dating. He finds it hard to believe that she has no time, but she also blames it on her high expectations, seeing her parents' relationship. To express his gratitude and to strengthen their relationship, Joe lets Courtney pick what they'll be doing the following day, and she couldn't be happier about it. He smiles from ear to ear, however, his smile disappears once he's brought back to reality by receiving a text from his friend asking how the Operation Millionaire is going. The next morning comes and we get to see what the surprise activity is. Joe and Courtney strap on their boots as they prepare for dog sledding. Being pulled by beautiful huskies, they enjoy the mountain and the crisp white snow all afternoon. After the ride, they sit down for some coffee as they admire the dogs and the man keeping them. Seeing it as an amazing job, Joe asks how she likes what she does. There could be some strange moments, but Courtney says that she likes her job but isn't sure whether she wants to do it for the rest of her life. She reveals that she wants to do something related to traveling. While the agency allows her to do that, she doesn't feel like she has experienced the places she's been to, as her job is to plan the experience for others. Thankful for the opportunity, she lets Joe know that he's different in the best way possible, and he says that everyone should have a Courtney in their lives. Returning to the hotel, they sit in the car when Joe thanks her for the amazing day once again. Looking deeply into each other's eyes, the tension grows as both of them lean in for a kiss. Unfortunately, they are cut off by Gabriel opening the door at the worst time possible. As Courtney walks into Joe's suite the next morning, she is surprised to see the staff and Joe having breakfast in the living room. Pulling out a chair for her, he lets her sit down before asking her to feast. Being asked about his stay, Joe can't help but say the nicest words about the stay and the food, and Courtney agrees. Raising their freshly squeezed orange juice, they toast in the name of Joe coming to the hotel more often. Pulling out the itinerary, Courtney is about to say what's on the agenda when Joe stops her and asks whether they can go off his itinerary for the day. Agreeing with his plan, she is surprised to hear that they'll be curling that day. Prepared to have yet another fun day, they listen to the instructor explaining what the stick and stone mean. Same as other activities, they spend their day having the best time ever while learning how to play a new sport. After scoring the perfect score, they run into each other's arms and hug tightly. Letting go, they realize how close they are and the tension can be felt once again. However, they let go of each other as they agreed on having some hot chocolate. Curious, Joe asks how she had gotten the suite and all the other activities since the hotel seems to be very busy during the period. She assures him that she knows people, but he assumes that it's all because money's involved. Letting her know that he has to tell her something, he's ready to come clean when she cuts him off, assuming that he's going to give her a speech about how money's not important while being a very rich guy. Tossing and turning, Joe finds it hard to fall asleep late at night, so he calls Alan to let him know what's wrong. It is eating him alive that he's lying to the girl he's fallen for, so he asks his best friend what he should do. Thinking that it's the best advice to give, Alan advises him to tell her the truth because he'll only know then whether it was meant to be or not. The following morning, we see Courtney arriving at the suit. Sitting down, she lets Joe know that she has planned for them to go to the opera house for a private tour. Jokingly, he gets excited and Courtney finally thinks that she has found the thing he loves, only for him to let her know that he's not interested. As they're on the theme of culture, Joe decides to take her to the restaurant for them to have a beer tasting. The beer is presented to them and as they try it they can distinguish between some benign to strong, bitter, and even sweet. The owner comes to their table to ask whether they need anything while revealing that they have root beer as well. Joe's eyes widen as he can't believe that they have his favorite drink. Completing the beer, the owner lets them know that poutine goes best with it, but Joe has no idea what it is. However, he soon finds himself stuffing the dish in his mouth and calling it one of the best things that have ever been made. Trying the poutine as well, Courtney can't help but gush over it as well. Beer testing being one of the things she's never done, she thanks him for the idea as she promises to intercept it with her future clients as well. With their stomach full of poutine, they walk around town to work the food off. Having enjoyed the stay, Joe is sad that it's about to be over, however, he's glad that it happened. He asks Courtney about her favorite travel experience and gets surprised by her answer. She reveals that her favorite travel experience is the time she took a camping trip with her family. They camped in Yellowstone National Park when she and her brother were kids, or at least that's what they were trying to do. On their way there, their car had broken down and they were forced to stay at a tiny motel for 2 days. To make it fun, they had moved the beds and put the tents in the middle, and instead of the vampire, they ordered takeout and listened to horror stories all night long. If you're with the right people, vacations don't cost a fortune to be memorable. Joe's eyes widen as he gets the best idea. He suggests that it becomes her business model. By using her experience traveling all over the world, she can connect travelers through video and link with the best hotels and resorts all over the globe. Connecting travelers of all kinds, no matter their budget, can all be done through an app as they plan their vacation on it, and Joe suggests that it should be called Global Adventures with Courtney app. A user can search his destination and there could be a video showing him where to go. Courtney thinks it's an interesting idea, but she wonders where her income will come from, so Joe lets her know about commission and advertising. He assures her that any investor would jump on the idea, even offering to do the design for it, but Courtney claims to already have a steady job. Looking to the side, a painting catches her attention. Joe follows her gaze and sees their painting displayed. Taking a chance, Joe leans in for a kiss only to be rejected by her. He apologizes for his sudden action, but she lets him know that it's because of the work policy, that she can't do anything with him. Wanting to put things aside, he says to blame it on the beer and they settle on it. Returning to her room, Courtney can't help but look over the pictures of her and Joe as butterflies fill her stomach. However, everything's about to come crashing down as her boss finds out that Joe isn't the Joe they think he is. At the same time, Joe had decided to let someone know about his true identity, so we see him chatting with Gabriel about it. He regrets not being honest but doesn't know what to do now. Same as Alan, Gabriel advises him to be honest with her and tell her the whole truth. As Joe's conversing with Gabriel, Courtney gets a call from her boss telling her the truth. She is shocked to find out that the trip had been a gift to Joe from his friend Alan. Her boss lets her know that the trip had been paid for by Alan as he planned to come with his wife, but couldn't at the last moment. Not to let the money go to waste, he transferred the trip to Joe Franklin. Heartbroken, Courtney refuses to believe it at first, but after searching him up, the whole truth comes up. Getting a knock on the door, she hangs up to call and goes to open it. In walks Joe, so she shows him the laptop while asking why he lied to her. He admits to lying because he knew that it would affect the way she saw him. Shocked by his opinion, she lets him know that his financial situation couldn't have changed anything about the way she saw him. He tries to make things right, but she calls it a mistake since she's not able to swallow the fact that he had lied to her. Knowing that he has put her in an awkward situation, he lets her know that she can leave if she wants while making sure to thank her for the fantasy she had given him the past couple of days. The following morning, we can see Courtney in a taxi on her way to the airport while Joe's on a call with Alan. Alan can't believe that he let Courtney go, but Joe assures him that she's not interested in the guy who he truly is. Not wanting to hear him beat himself down anymore, Alan asks Joe to open his eyes. He lets him know that it's most important what's on the inside. Wealth is just a facade. Joe realizes that he's made a mistake, that he's about to let the girl of his dreams go, so he decides to go after her with the perfect plan. Courtney talks to her mother on the way to the airport, letting her know how perfect Joe is, but she can't seem to let go of the lie. Her mother reminds her that some lies are forgivable as she tells the story about her and her husband's first date. Similar to Joe, Courtney's dad had lied to her mother about the financial district at the stock exchange, completely leaving the part where he's working in a sandwich lobby out. Same as her daughter, she admits to being mad for a while but eventually gives in because she thought it was sweet. Courtney gets a call from her boss only to find out that she has to go back since she's still on the job. Her boss lets her know that Alan had called in a panic, letting her know that Joe's whole family's about to fly out for his birthday, so she needs Courtney to check out the old hotel that's for renovation to see whether the lobby's good. Despite not wanting to see Joe, Courtney knows that she has a job to do, so she tells the driver to turn around and head to the hotel. At the entrance, she is met with Gabriel, who has no business being there. Despite all of it, he takes her inside and she is surprised to see a camp set up in the ballroom with camp lights everywhere. Walking in, she asks Joe what it is and he says that it's his best attempt at an apology. Opening a blue box, she is surprised to see the same snowball she wanted, wrapped up nicely. The waiter comes out serving them a glass of champagne, so they sit down to enjoy. He apologizes for lying once again, this time admitting to feeling powerful having all of the fancy stuff to his name. He reveals that he wanted to tell her, but once he developed feelings for her, he was afraid of ruining things between them. Looking deeply into her eyes, he tells her that he loves her and wishes for them to have a relationship like her parents, filled with love and trust. They're served takeout, just like in Courtney's best vacation when she starts laughing at the attention to detail. Getting her hand, they stand up to dance when Joe tells her that he wants to travel the world with her. Jokingly, she tells him to start working on the app, but he assures her that they can. Looking at him with hope in her eyes, she gets excited even at the idea, so for their first trip they settle on going to Switzerland. Finally, they share a sweet kiss after many failed attempts.